What's going on YouTube? JT Born here, and welcome back to another edition of my DC comic book reviews. And in this video, we're talking about Green Arrow Annual 2024, issue number 1. So this is the final issue of Joshua Williamson's time on Green Arrow, and I thought it was a nice little solid, like, standalone issue. It doesn't really, you don't really have to necessarily read anything else in his other run. This is just a Green Arrow issue. It's focused on an older Ollie telling a story to some of the younger kids of the Arrow fam. He doesn't exactly say who's who. It's left intentionally ambiguous, like a lot of these DC comic books are when they have like future storylines about him telling things about, characters in the past. And this one does manage to incorporate the other members of the Arrow fam. It's Ollie just kind of reminiscing about things, but ultimately still kind of being that heroic good guy that we all kind of know and love for the most part. So again, this is an older Ollie telling the story to the kids of the Arrow fam. This kid obviously looks like the child of Roy Harper, but then you have these other kids too, and we're not exactly sure who is who, but that's okay. Maybe that'll be answered one day, or maybe it won't, because oftentimes when you set something in the future, you kind of leave it ambiguous because you don't know if DC is necessarily going to commit to it. And again, this is just a standalone issue. You don't have to have read anything else in this book. But again, it's a nice one. It focuses on him telling the story about a villain known as Firestarter and how Ollie just could not catch this guy. This is about the character that kind of got away consistently. And the Sean Izaakse artwork is really good, sprinkled in throughout the issue. And it tells a singular story. And this might be like one of the stronger issues of this run, even with the Arrow fam there. And he just didn't have enough evidence to kind of bring the guy down. And then through talking with the kids, he is actually able to kind of figure out something that he didn't really think of beforehand in order to kind of bust the villain down. But again, there's also moments too where him kind of flashing, kind of reminiscing about different moments throughout this run and other things outside of that too, and all the crazy shenanigans and adventures he's gone on throughout his entire life, going to the future, going to the past, and whatnot. And so there's some good stuff in here too. And of course, they got to eat the chili as the Arrow fam together. And eventually, he does figure out who the villain is, and he's like, "Oh my goodness, I got to go ahead and bust this guy," because like it was always something that's bothered him for many years because he just couldn't crack this thing. And then eventually he figures out that the three suspects are all kind of working together. It's kind of like that mystery of the Batwoman. And again, he's got the kids there as his little speedies, and it's a nice little moment right there, and it kind of wraps itself up on the islands, going back to basically the beginning of Oliver Queen's journey as the Green Arrow. So yeah, this was it for Joshua Williamson's time on the book. I am looking forward to seeing who takes over next. I'm not entirely sure who it is off the top of my head, but the Williamson run, out of like the main books he's worked on, I think Green Arrow was definitely like his weakest in recent memory, because like I said, he did Flash, he did Robin, Batman and Robin, Superman, and then Green Arrow, and then he's done other books too, but in terms of like just, Deathstroke Incorporated for a little bit, but that one was such a short run before somebody else kind of took over. It almost felt like a mini series. But like in terms of like the main ongoing titles that are like still kind of active, I suppose, I think Green Arrow was probably the weakest of the bunch. There's definitely some good stuff in here, but nothing like mind-blowing or amazing. I thought this issue was pretty solid, the way he kind of wrapped things up by kind of tying into some of the stuff he's done before. Now, of course, we do have like a little ambiguity with who the kids are, and we don't know who their parents are. You can kind of theorize, but I think that's just something DC always tends to do. I think of an example too was a Jerry Adams Flash run. They show, what was it, Ira West or whatever, who had a ring. It's like, oh, it's somebody you know, Dad, but I can't tell you. And again, that was set, like, that was main continuity, but they leave it kind of ambiguous. But it could be a character, but it should be a character that all of us kind of know. So that's just an example I can think of, because you don't always want to kind of commit 100% to something unless like you're really kind of going there for sure. That's especially stuff set way in the future, because as we've determined with DC Comics, the future is ever changing, depending on a reboot or some other things and different plot shenanigans and all that other stuff kind of mixed and mingled in. So for all we know, like, none of these kids could ever show up again. So, but again, it's a nice way to kind of have Ollie tell a story and kind of have the kids involved in some capacity and show him moments with the rest of the Arrow fam, and that he's lived a pretty good life for the most part. And yeah, he had some regrets here and there were some things that kind of got away, but ultimately kind of telling these stories and kind of bringing them to the forefront, it actually kind of helped him solve a case that bothered him for years. So like to kind of get the necessary closure that he needed, and the kids are having fun too in the process. So I like the stuff. It's simple, it's effective, and it's generally pretty easy to follow for the most part. So yeah, I enjoyed this one. One of the better issues in Williamson's run on Green Arrow, But I am looking forward to seeing who takes over next, because I really want a fantastic Green Arrow run. We haven't really had it since Benjamin Percy was writing the book. I thought his Green Arrow Rebirth run was outstanding, and I actually wouldn't mind if he came back to DC just to do some more Green Arrow stuff, because that run, I think it was like 40-something issues, was such a great story, and it felt like they utilized the characters in the right capacity. There was something engaging about it. The artwork was great. I want something of like that quality, something that's really just going to wow me from the first issue to kind of the last. So that's what I'm kind of hoping happens with the next creative team, Green Arrow. I think too, because Williamson was writing so much stuff at once, and I'm glad he got Green Arrow up and going again. But it definitely wasn't like his strongest of books, because some of the storylines kind of repeated themselves, especially with like the Malcolm Merlin thing. But again, there's still some good stuff in here for sure, and there's nothing objectively terrible about the run or anything like that, in my opinion. And I think this was a pretty good issue for the most part. So I am, like I said, looking forward to whoever takes over next. And the Sean Izaakse artwork is really, really good in this thing too. So this is a solid annual. Like, this is what annuals generally like should be for the most part. So I did enjoy it. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next, and now that Williamson doesn't have as many books, he could focus on keeping that quality up with Superman. So I feel like sometimes we have so many things at once, you're just kind of burnt out, and you just don't have the time to really like commit to telling the stories like as well as you could be. Like, you kind of stretch yourself pretty thin after a while. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he just does with Superman now, because Superman's been really good under his writing. So I hope that quality like actually like continues. In fact, if we can get better, that would be even more awesome. So, but yeah, what did you think of this issue of Green Arrow? What did you think of his time on the book? Did you like it? Did you dislike it? Post your comments down below. Be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content, hit that bell for notifications, all that other fun stuff. I got 2 more DC books to cover. We'll see if I can get them all done today, because I got Batman and the first issue of the new run on Batgirl, which I still haven't read those books yet. So I'm kind of hoping I can get those out there, and then I can get to being caught up for next week's stuff. Because again, we got Batgirl issue number 1, which I haven't read yet, so that's a big one for sure. And of course, you got Chip Zdarsky's Batman, but I don't have too much enthusiasm for that book after what we've gotten. But I think the last issue I thought was okay, so we'll see what happens. But anyways, that's all I have to say. Hope you're all doing well. As always, take care now. Bye bye then, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace out.